What are the 7 Egyptian curses? The idea of a curse occupied a special place in ancient Egyptian culture, especially when it came to the tombs of pharaohs and priests. The Egyptians believed that the afterlife was closely connected to the world of the living, and the peace of the dead must be protected from any intrusion. Inscriptions on sarcophagi and tombs often contain warnings promising imminent death to anyone who disturbs the peace. Contemporaries believed that such texts possessed mystical powers, and so the legend of the so-called 7 Egyptian curses was born, each of which is associated with a certain form of punishment for violators. The first curse promised sudden death to anyone who dared to desecrate the tomb. It was believed that the spirit of the pharaoh would rise to personally punish the impudent robber. The second curse concerned illness. The violator could be struck by a mysterious ailment resembling an infection or poisoning. Perhaps it had a real basis. The ancient tombs preserved fungal spores and bacteria that were deadly to humans. The third curse promised madness. The intruder into the sanctuary began to lose his mind. He was haunted by visions and nightmares. The fourth concerned loss. The robber or explorer's loved ones died, as if fate itself was taking away the most valuable thing from him. The fifth curse predicted infertility and the extinction of the family, which for ancient man was more terrible than death. The sixth curse was associated with fire. It was believed that anyone who touched the body of a mummy or artifacts from the tomb could die in a fire or other catastrophe. The seventh curse is the curse of eternal restlessness. The soul of the violator after death will allegedly not be able to find peace, will wander in Duat, the Egyptian afterlife, with no hope of rebirth. These 7 curses have become part of mythology, and the real story of the discovery of Tutankhamun's tomb only strengthened the belief in them. After its opening, several people from Lord Carnarvon's team died under strange circumstances, and the press of that time readily associated this with the ancient curse. Today, archaeologists explain many things by natural causes: infections, toxic substances, and stress. However, the myth of Egyptian curses continues to live, turning each expedition into a dramatic story on the verge of mysticism and reality. What was the most terrible Egyptian curse? Among the many legends about Egyptian curses, the most terrible was the curse of eternal restlessness of the soul. The ancient Egyptians believed that after death a person goes to Duat, the afterlife, where his heart is weighed by the god Anubis. If the heart was light, the soul got a chance for eternal existence. If heavy, it awaited destruction. But in the case of a curse, the soul was deprived of the opportunity to pass this trial at all. It could not be reborn, did not find peace, and wandered forever between worlds, deprived of memory and appearance. For the Egyptians, this was more terrible than physical death, illness, or disaster, because it was believed that a person lives as long as he is remembered and as long as his soul has a path to eternity. Such a curse was often mentioned on the walls of tombs. The violator is deprived of peace and will be forever haunted by spirits and gods. People believe that the cursed person would never be able to reunite with his ancestors after death. His name would disappear from the memory of his descendants, and his personality would dissolve. This was tantamount to complete annihilation, a fear that was deeply rooted in the Egyptian worldview. It is no coincidence that it was this mythical horror that inspired many stories about the curse of the pharaohs. When mysterious deaths were recorded in the 20th century after the opening of Tutankhamun's tomb, many contemporaries decided that archaeologists had been struck by this ancient curse.